And now, ladies and gentlemen, your host, Yemmy the Ferret. Hey. Woo. Woo. All right. How is everyone doing today? This fine Saturday morning. I hope you're all doing fantastic. We got it all today, folks. We got the guests, we got the games, we got the podcast, we got the what have I picked up this past month, all that and more on this live rendition of the Ferret64 podcast.
Hey, motherfucker.
So I hope you're all having a splendid Saturday morning. The award show is about to begin. That's right. We are right on the cusp of the 4th annual Ferret Awards. And holy smokes, am I excited. This has been at least 2 months of preparation and work just for this day. So hopefully it all goes smoothly. But you never know. Welcome in, everyone. Welcome in.
What could possibly go wrong?
Greedy Waffles, General Kenobi, Happy Marie, Callus, Snorty. I hope you're all doing fantastic. We're going to kind of BS for a little bit, allowing people to filter in as they do. Yeah, today we got a full slate of things to talk about, along with the Ferret Awards. We have lots of different awards to get to. We have plenty of topics to talk about, including, but not limited to, well, I guess there's not really that much, all things considered. But there are a lot of games that I have to get because I've been sick. So I wasn't able to do a podcast recording last week. So we have a couple things to catch up on, which not much happened because it was like Christmas and then New Year's. Which I hope everyone had a fantastic Christmas and New Year's. And if you don't celebrate Christmas, I hope you had a happy holiday. But yes, we got the games to talk about as well. Things that I've been playing these past few weeks. Games that I finished up from 2024. And games that I played already in 2025. Can we talk about how a hot dog is not considered a sandwich? Or why there's a D in fridge but not refrigerator? No. No, we cannot. Callus, thank you for the 100 bits. Appreciate that. We may be a little bit coffee today. I'm still coughing from my cold, so just be aware. I'm gonna try and keep it to a minimum. I've been trying not to chug Robitussin these past few days. Whew, boy. I just forgot to do one thing, so let me do that. I just need to make a list of all the categories so I can mark them off as we do them, because God knows I'll probably forget one if I don't do this. But what has everyone been playing in 2025, if anything? Do. Thank you for the 100 bits as well. Greedy Waffles, appreciate that. All right. I haven't been playing, but been played. Ooh, got him. All right. Don't know who you're getting, but good work. All right. I think we're ready to go. We're gonna do our first category here for the Ferret Awards. So sit back and enjoy, ladies and gentlemen. Sit back and enjoy as we get into the first category, which is... Here are your nominees for the favorite game that Yemmy the Ferret streamed in 2024. And they are... Bayonetta 2. Little Nightmares 2. Sherlock Holmes, The Devil's Daughter. Lego Marvel Superheroes. Puss in Boots. Halo 3. And the winner is... And the winner is, by a tight margin, the winner is Little Nightmares 2, which I kind of saw coming. This was a... it was a favorite of mine this year, and I know it was a favorite of a lot of other people's. You can kind of see the pie chart there up above. I'll go into it. But surprisingly enough, I was surprised that Bayonetta 2 did not win, because that was probably my favorite game that we streamed this year. But Little Nightmares 2 was also a very fun time. I kind of went into it a little bit apprehensively, because I was like, oh my god, I don't really like Little Nightmares 1. So I hope that Little Nightmares 2 doesn't disappoint me as well. And no, Little Nightmares 2, they definitely improved on the original game, and I was very happy with that. The rest of the game just kind of got slivers of the pie, with Bayonetta 2, Sherlock Holmes' Devil's Daughter, Puss in Boots, and Halo 3 all getting chunks of the pie. Halo 3 coming in second place. By the way, folks, we have the return of the Big Water. That's right, the Big Water is here for the awards show. Very good. Let's go. All right. So that was the first category, and we have plenty more to get to, folks. Plenty more to get to. Now, this next category is one that I think deserves to be at any award show for video games, and that is the Still Playing Award, an award given out to our favorite game that we are still playing from years past, a game that came around and maybe stuck around for us. A game that I am just buying my time right now as I set up. There we go.
Hello everyone, my name is Kane. On occasion I play games. I'm the world's slowest content creator over on YouTube, and even slower on Twitch, because I don't really stream that often these days. But hey, thank you to Yemmy for inviting me on anyway. We're here with an award that honestly I think a lot of us can relate to. I know I certainly can, because like all of us, sometimes a game just hooks you in and you keep going back and back and back again, despite your backlog being as big as it ever has been and Steam sales just making it even larger. That's right, it's the Still Playing Award. Thank you to everyone for supporting Yemmy and adding creators. We always appreciate it. And thank you for supporting the Ferret Awards. And the nominees are... Power Wash Simulator, Baton Kaitos 1 and 2 HD Remaster, Plate Up, Command & Conquer General 0 Hour, Ravenfield, and the winner is...
And the winner is, by a very, very, very large margin, Power Wash Simulator. Power Wash Simulator has won. Yes, this one was not was not a big contest. with a rousing 50% of the votes. Power Wash Simulator got the victory there. Also, thank you to Kane for doing the nominations there, presenting the nominations. Definitely appreciate that. So the other games on the list, I was really hoping that Command and Conquer General 0 Hour was going to win. I played a lot of that earlier in 2024. Unfortunately, it did get second place. So, congratulations on getting second place. Everything else just kind of got one vote each, probably from the person who nominated those games. Power Wash Simulator was the big one this year. Obviously, I played it for the first time. Technically I started it in 2023 and it moved into 2024 because it's such a large game. That was one of those games that it's a fun time. It can get a little bit boring on the larger maps, but for the most part, it's a fun time, and I don't think that anyone who plays it really hates it. Maybe they just get bored and stop playing it, but I personally went for the Platinum Trophy in it because it was easy enough, but I could see someone stopping about halfway through and saying, I'm bored, let's move on. But yeah, I mean, I personally put General's 0 Hour on here because that was my big... I came back to that game and played it because they launched the game on Steam with no strings attached. You can play without the EA launcher, and you can play without an EA Play account, and blah, blah, blah. So maybe I'll boot it back up this year, too. Who knows? It's still a very fun game. I just wish that they would get the multiplayer functional on that one. So, yes, that is our Still Playing Award. It is one of the best of the best of the awards here. All right, let us move on to the next one, which is...
Hello there, this is General Obi-Wan Kenobi. I'm a Jedi who likes to strategize and have the high ground on any battlefields. I'll be covering Worst Game of the Year, and the nominees are Home Confusion, Pitiful, Skull and Bones, Disgraceful, Willy's Wonderland the Game, Really? Conquer, Despicable, South Park Snow Day, Shocking, and the winner is...
And the winner is, by a smaller margin than I was expecting, Concord. Concord is the winner of the worst game of the year. Which, I mean, it definitely deserves that honor, seeing as it was only live for 2 weeks. The game was only available for 2 weeks before it was taken down from stores and never heard from again. I personally put Willy's Wonderland on here because it is actually the worst game that I played this year. I mean, sure, there were other games that got low scores too, but like... a lot of those were like little tiny like mini games almost. They take like 2 minutes to complete. Like I'm not gonna give a slot to a really small game. But Willy's Wonderland was definitely one of those games that I was like, this is terrible. This is definitely a cash grab, and it doesn't even have the Nick Cage likeliness in it. Skull and Bones was a strong third place contender for this one as well. It was one of those games that I liked at the beginning, and I was like, oh, it's kind of cool going around with your ship and doing stuff. But the game just kind of like ends, and they expect you to forever just carry cargo from one end of the map to the other and love it. And I did not love it. I did not love that. And the story just kind of ends. It's just like, okay, and you help this person, and you're done. Funko Fusion I did not play this year. South Park Snow Day I also did not play, even though I have it. It's just one of those games that, I think it's not what people expected, and people did not like that. But Concord definitely deserved this one. They misread the environment that they were going into. They just released a positive with Helldivers 2 in the world of live service games. So you kind of wonder why they tried to launch 2 live service games in 1 year. Obviously, one of them was going to fail, and that one that was going to fail was going to be the one that was very unoriginal, and that's Concord at a core to a T. At the core to the T. So, yeah, Concord definitely deserves the loss here. But, hey, you know, maybe they'll put it into free to play in the near future. All right. Let's go into our music and audio categories. The next category is one that defines what the genre can be in terms of audio quality, and that is... And now, the nominees for Best Audio Design. And the nominees are... Astrobot, Animal Well, Lego Horizon Adventures, Kill Knight, Angerfoot, and the winner is... And the winner is, by the largest margin and in the awards, Astrobot. Astrobot is the winner. This was almost 100% pie chart for Astrobot. But one person had to be the spoiler and vote for Angerfoot for the not 100% pie chart. The funny thing is that I think that all these games definitely deserve their spot here, but because Astrobot was just such a well-crafted audio experience, I mean, yeah, it's hard to argue with the results here, you know. Angerfoot obviously had a lot of great audio design in there. I played a fair amount of that. And then the other categories were also fine, like Lego Horizon Adventures. One of the big things about that game is the fact that it does, like, even though it lacks a lot in the gameplay department, it does have a fairly good audio quality to it. The sounds that your character makes as they walk across the floors and the building of Lego pieces and stuff like that. It's just one of those things that, I definitely thought that it was worthy of being on this list in general. And that just goes to show how open the Ferret Awards are. Because Lego Horizon Adventures probably would have gone in the worst games of the year category. But it was obviously knocked out by a couple of other more bad games. Kill Knight was recently free on Epic Store. It is a very good game. It's a brutal game. It has a great audio design to it, a great audio quality to it. And Animal Well, obviously, that also is a very very well done audio designed game as well. All right. The next audio-based category is...
Hi, I'm Ray. You may also know me as Ray of Positivity on Twitch, and Ray from Film Freaks with a Z, and I'm here to present Best Soundtrack. And the nominees are... Stellar Blade, Astrobot, Nine Souls, Another Crab's Treasure, and SteamWorld Heist 2. And the winner is...
Yes, the winner is Astrobot with 69% of the vote. And thank you again to Ray for doing the category. Also, I forgot to mention, thank you to Kenobi for doing the worst game of the year as well. I forgot to mention that. I apologize. But yes, best soundtrack going to Astrobot. This was another, I thought this was going to be another 100% pie chart. Obviously, there's other games on this list that do deserve the nomination. Obviously, the biggest one being SteamWorld Heist 2, which, as you know, was done by Steam Powered Giraffe, one of my favorite bands. So, of course, that one had to be on here, and I, of course, voted for that one. Yeah. Also, Stellar Blade got third place, tied with 9 Souls. Both of those games have good soundtracks as well. Another Crab's Treasure, I mean, it has a great soundtrack, but you kind of knew that Astrobot was going to win this one. It's an excellent soundtrack. Lots of fun to be had on it. Not much else to say. Not much else to say there. But there is one more audio-based category that we need to get to. And let's go ahead and jump into that right now.
Hello everybody, my name is Squidaddy, Yemmy the Ferret's favorite side piece, and I'm here to present at this sexy awards show. The category is Best Single Song. And the nominees are Astro from Astrobot, Warriors in Valor from Metaphor ReFantasio, Heist Ahoy! From SteamWorld Heist 2. Main Theme from Balatro. And Welcome to the Fight from Helldivers 2. And the winner is...
Astro from Astrobot, of course. Who doesn't have that song stuck in their head after playing the game? I am Astrobot. It's so good. It's so catchy. The whole song is so good. I could just feel that award right there. Obviously, winning best soundtrack and best single song. I thought that was a guaranteed win here as well because Astro from Astrobot is such a catchy tune. In second place on this one was Warriors in Valor by Metaphor or from Metaphor ReFantasio. It's a good song. I listened to it all the way through. It's a good song. That's all I'll say about that. And then Welcome to the Fight got third place from Helldivers 2. Which is a very bombastic. I mean, that's a song that plays on the main menu when you're about to join the fight and you power in there. And yeah, it's a great starter song for the game. And then Heist Ahoy from SteamWorld Heist 2 is also a very good song. I nominated the wrong one. I meant to put the other song that had more Steam Powered Giraffe in it. But hey, that's how it goes sometimes. Unfortunately, Main Theme from Balatro got 0 votes, but I think that one's more of like a chill, in the background. A lot of people also mute the song and play their own music because it is the same song over and over again, but it's a good song. It's a good song. But yeah, I think that Astro from Astrobot definitely deserves this win. Now, Callus said on the last one that he didn't agree with Astrobot winning. And all I have to say about that is you should have campaigned more for the soundtrack that you wanted to win. That's all I'll say about that. All right, let's get into the genre-specific categories. And we're going to start off with this one. And now, your nominees for Best Strategy or Puzzle Game. And the nominees are Steam World Heist 2. Lorelei and the Laser Eyes. Balatro. Armored Brigade 2. Corpo Nation, The Sorting Process. And the winner is... Balatro! Balatro is the winner by a very large margin right there, of course. I was very much hoping for Balatro to win this one because it is a very good strategy game. In second place, no surprise, SteamWorld Heist 2 got second place. I think the reason why SteamWorld Heist 2 did not win over Balatro is that more people played Balatro. More people enjoyed that game. SteamWorld Heist 2, even though it's a great game, I love it so much. It's obviously not going to beat out Balatro in terms of like a strategy game, but still very good choices here as well. Surprisingly, Lorelei, the Laser Eyes, and Corpo Nation, the Sorting Process, and Armored Brigade 2 all tied for third place. So everyone wins. Excuse me. Corpo Nation, the Sorting Process, if you haven't checked that one out, it's a pretty cool sorting game that adds layers on top of itself. Also has a pretty deep story underneath, of course. Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, people said that this was a great puzzle game. I have not played it myself, but I've heard good things about it. Armored Brigade 2, this was, of course, from our resident strategy expert. And I have not played it, though, but it does look like a pretty cool, like, World War II kind of tank strategy game. So, but Balatro, I mean, come on, Balatro. I mean, you know, that is the big winner here for this category, of course, and I really did not see anyone else winning this one when I made the category, but you never know. You never know. Speaking of games that I thought were going to win a category, let's move on to the next section, the next video.
Hello everyone, my name is Nomad Eric, a connoisseur of JRPGs, RPGs, and multiplayer content, and in my leisure time, especially around this time, sports games. And I am here to present the best sports game of 2024. In my opinion, a very innovative year. I think sports games have actually been very fun to play, both solo and with friends, and I am very proud to be presenting this award for the second year in a row. But you guys picked the nominees, and I am here to present those. And those nominees are... EA Sports College Football 25. MLB The Show 24. WWE 2K 24. New Star GP. The Quidditch World Champions. And the winner is...
The winner is WWE 2K24. EA Sports College Football gets snubbed. This was a very, very shocking one. I was very shocked when the results came in, and WWE won by a margin of 1 vote, which is kind of crazy. Now, I have not played WWE 2K24. It's on this list because it was nominated for a best sports game. But apparently the people have spoken, and they said, hey, this was a better game than the other one. So there you go. In second place was EA Sports College Football 25. The revival of the NCAA series in the current year. I had my issues with it, obviously. I know a lot of people did, but you can't get over the fact that, like, hey, we got a college football game for the first time in like 10 to 15 years. Like, it was pretty crazy. And then in third place, surprisingly, Quidditch World Champions, Harry Potter Quidditch World Champions. Pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. I mean, that was one that I threw on there because I was like, well, this is a goofy one to put on here for a sports game, you know. I'll just put this on there, see what happens. And yeah, it got third place. So obviously the Quidditch crowd came out and they voted for their game. In fourth place was MLB The Show, and then with no votes was New Star GP. MLB The Show 24 was fine. I wasn't like super crazy about it, but as Nomad said in his presentation, which again, thank you to Nomad for doing that. He did say that, like, yeah, there was a lot of innovation in the sports categories, but people didn't really nominate the games that innovated. And you know, that's just a symptom of having it be a open to the public kind of nomination period, and you get what you get. So New Star GP was a pretty good F1 racing game, a bit more arcade style. I thought it was pretty good. I'm glad that it at least got a nomination here. But yeah, this was the upset of the day. I will say this was the upset of the day. I was not expecting WWE to get the WW dub. All right. Let's go ahead and move on to the next category, or the next genre of games, which is... Here are your nominees for Best Shooter. All right. Don't forget that these sound commands are about 30 seconds behind. Here are your nominees for Best Shooter. And they are... Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Frog Monster. I Am Your Beast. Mullet Mad Jack. Buckshot Roulette. And the winner is... Another one winning by a large margin. It is Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Call of Duty Black Ops 6. This is a very strong category for games. I think that this was a pretty good year for the Bang Bang shooter games. And yeah, this was not as tightly contested as you might think, but did have a good amount of games on the list here. But yeah, I mean, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, obviously we got some recency bias in there because it did come out last month. But also, people have been playing it a lot. I mean, there's some people who have been playing this game since it came out religiously, and I understand why. It's a very fun first-person shooter. Definitely deserves the win here. Mullet Mad Jack and Buckshot Roulette tied for second place. Mullet Mad Jack is a very fun, fast-paced hallway shooter where you kick down doors and you kill enemies to stay alive. It's kind of like a roguelite as well. Very cool game, very synthwave coded. Buckshot Roulette was a bit of a cheeky one that I put on here because technically it's not a shooter per se, but you do shoot a shotgun in a Russian roulette style. It was a very good game, I was very impressed with how simple the concept was, but how ingenious it was. As for the games that did not get votes, I Am Your Beast, a very fast-paced first-person shooter kind of game. This is like one of those games that kind of went under the radar for me for most of the year, but then it was nominated, and I was like, oh, I wonder what this game is, and then I got into it, and I really enjoyed it, so that's definitely one to check out. And then Frog Monster, as you all know, is definitely a very fun Metroidvania/Souls game where you play as this frog who has a gun, and you just kill monsters. Frog Monster, as it would be. Very good. The only thing that was like the little caveat about Frog Monster was it wasn't really easy to understand where to go next sometimes, which caused which caused me to run around a lot. But other than that, very, very fantastic game as well. So great, very, very strong showing in terms of categories here. Lots of good games on the list, but there can only be one winner, and that is Call of Duty Black Ops 6. All right, let's move on to the next genre that we need to cover. Let's see what this one is going to be right now.
Hello, my name is Callus. I am a streamer, blue man, and dear friend of Yemmy's. Since the dawn of time, mankind has been chasing how to duplicate the thrills of experiencing action and adventure from the comfort of home, whether it be through telling stories, reading, board games, and in modern times, playing video games. Friends, we live in a time when we have finally reached the pinnacle of these experiences. Here are the nominees for Best Action Adventure. The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. Black Myth Wukong. Banishers: Ghost of New Eden. Stellar Blade. And the winner is...
All right, Banishers Ghosts of New Eden takes the dub here for the best action adventure game of 2024. In second place, tied for second place, is Black Myth Wukong and The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom. Tied for third place is Stellar Blade and Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. Yeah, I mean, Banishers Ghost of New Eden had a healthy amount of nominations this year. I think someone really, really enjoyed that game. And it's hard to deny that this is the best action-adventure game of the year. It definitely has a fun combat style, has a nice world to explore, plenty of ghosts and people to talk to and solve their problems. It also has a very good story going on as well. I don't know if they're going to be doing anything more with it, but I think that for what it's worth, it is a very, very good action-adventure game. The one game that I probably shouldn't have put on the nominations for this one is Black Myth Wukong, because it is more of an RPG, which we did rectify in the next genre category, of course. But, yes, as you can see, Banishers did get the win by a small margin here. Also, Echoes of Wisdom... I didn't play that one. Callus did, of course, but I did not play that one. He gave his thoughts on the podcast a while ago, so thank you to that. Also, thank you to Callus for presenting this category. He has such a way with words. And then, of course, Prince of Persia was a fun Metroidvania this year. I feel like if it didn't come out so early in the year, it might have won this one, and if it didn't have some technical problems, it might have won it as well. And then Stellar Blade also coming in with a vote here. I enjoyed Stellar Blade, but I did not like the combat, which made me drop it a couple hours in. So that is that. All right. Yes, Snorty voted. Don't worry about that. Snorty voted. All right, let's move on to the next category, which I already sort of teased. But here we go. Right now.
What's going on, guys? Maz from Maztech Gaming, achievement hunting variety streamer, podcaster, and achievement guide content creator. I'm here today to present the best RPG, JRPG, and the nominees are... Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Unicorn Overlord, Black Myth Wukong, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, Dragon's Dogma 2. And the winner is...
Ooh, by a small margin, the winner is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. That is right. Beating out Black Myth Wukong by 1 vote. That's how important your votes are, people. 1 vote decided the fate of this category. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Obviously, this was one of the most RPGs, one of the most JRPGs of all time. I'm not surprised that it got so many votes, but on the other hand, I am surprised that Black Myth Wukong did not overtake it, because Black Myth Wukong was a bit of a love story by a lot of people this year. Maybe it's because it's a bit too linear in the way that it's structured. Who knows? But Final Fantasy VII Rebirth wins with Black Myth Wukong in second. Tied for third is Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, and Unicorn Overlord. Both of them are decent games from what I've heard. Dragon's Dogma 2 getting 0 votes, even though I believe it was one of those pretty crazy RPG type experiences. But obviously, maybe not a lot of people played it or finished it. Well, who knows? Unicorn Overload, have not played that one. I almost bought it on sale during Black Friday, but then I was like, why am I buying a game that I'm probably not going to play? Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, I played a bit of it this year. I enjoyed it. I did not finish it. It is a very long game, but I'm not trying to be dissuaded from playing long games anymore. Okay. But yes, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth in for the win. And that is that. Okay. Excuse me. Next up, I believe we are out of the genre-specific games, so let's go ahead and move on to something that's kind of genre-adjacent, shall I say.
Hello, my name is Odom K. I'm an artist who just so happens to stream on Twitch. Very honored to present to you all the nominations for the best remaster or remake. And the nominees are... Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door, Persona 3 Reload, The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, Sonic X Shadow Generations, Mario vs. Donkey Kong, and the winner is...
The winner is Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. I mean, who could not have seen this one coming? Obviously, this sold better than Mario vs. Donkey Kong, and it sold better than Mario and Luigi Brothership. So that kind of tells you how much people love Thousand-Year Door, me included. I really enjoyed that game myself. Probably going to do another playthrough of it sooner rather than later. In first place is Paper Mario. Oh, man. In second place was Sonic X Shadow Generations, which is kind of like the Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, where it remastered the original game, but then added a whole nother game onto it. So a very nice, close second win there. And then third place was tied for Mario vs. Donkey Kong and Persona 3 Reload, with The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered getting 1 vote there. Mario vs. Donkey Kong was a fun remaster, remake, whatever you want to call it. I really enjoyed it myself as well. The true game starts after the first credits roll, which is kind of funny. It's a kind of a Nintendo staple to do that. And then I did not play Persona 3 Reload, but I did hear a lot of good things about it. Last was Part 2 Remastered. Obviously, it's just a bit of an upgrade for the PS4 version of the game, even though that already looked really good. They did add the roguelite mode to it, which is, a nice thing to add some extra content there. But yes, Paper Mario: Thousand-Year Door definitely deserved the win there. Very good remaster of that game. Folks, why didn't you tell me that I missed one of the most important categories in the genre, in the genre categories, and that is the one that pretty much started it all. And now, your nominees for Best Platformer. And they are Astrobot, Grapple Dogs, Cosmic Canines, Super Monkey Ball, Banana Rumble, Celeste64, Fragments of the Mountain, Nintendo World Championships, NES Edition, and the winner is... Do I even need to say it? It's Astrobot! Of course it's Astrobot! Why wouldn't it be Astrobot? Very large margin there. I thought this was going to be another one that was 100% for Astrobot. But, you know, a few extra votes came in. And, yeah, we had a few other votes. But, yes, of course, you know, Astrobot definitely deserves the win here. I mean, it's the best platformer this year by far. One of the best games this year by far. And definitely deserves the win here. Lots of variety in the level design. Lots of cool gadgets and gizmos to enhance the platforming. Lots of fun extra bonus things added on top of it. In second and third place, we had Super Monkey Ball Banana Rumble and Nintendo World Championships NES Edition. Both fun games in their own right. Super Monkey Ball Banana Rumble was a pretty good entry into the Monkey Ball series. Maybe not the best, but a pretty good one. Nintendo World Championships NES Edition was also a pretty fun game where you just kind of like raced other people's scores and and you could see how fast you'd go. Obviously, a lot of us had a lot of fun just kind of playing that earlier in the year. Just kind of trying to get the best scores that we possibly could on there. No votes for Grapple Dogs, Cosmic Canines. I think that's one that kind of went under the radar this year. The first Grapple Dogs game was really good. I did not get around to playing the second one. And Celeste64, I think a lot of people played it because it was free. I thought that it was a bit half-baked, obviously, because it was a Game Jam game. But I thought, I mean, it was still a good time. Like, it wasn't a bad time at all. Yeah, Astrobot, winner, chicken dinner there. Pretty easy to see that one come. Okay, now we've gone past all the genre specifics. But let's get on to the ones that are a bit more off the wall, huh? Starting with... Here are the nominees for Best Early Access Title. And they are... TCG Card Shop Simulator, Toy Shire, Aero GPX, Hades 2, Pal World, and the winner is Hades 2. Of course, Hades 2 was the winner here, with TCG Card Shop Simulator coming in close second, and Pal World coming in third. This was one that I was not too sure about who was going to win this one, because there were two big titles in the early access community this year, plus Pal World. Pal World was also pretty big, but there were two big ones with Hades 2 and TCG Card Shop Simulator. Those are the two that I knew were going to duke it out, and what do you know? Hades 2 won by a small margin of 2 votes. And Hades 2 was definitely very good. a very fun, it obviously builds off of what Hades 1 set up and all that. It's not finished yet. They released it in early access because they're still adding in more bosses and more content, more weapons, more whatever. But I think that so far it's been a very fun time. And then TCG Card Shop Simulator obviously was one of those games that kind of came out of nowhere and everyone just kind of loved. And even though it's still in a pretty rudimentary form, all things considered, it is still a pretty strong contender for early access this year, and it could even be eligible for next year if they improve it even more and keep going with it. And then Pal World, I was never really into Pal World. It's obviously a big open world crafting adventure where you capture Pokemon type creatures and use them to fight battles for you. I just was never into that. Toy Shire, I did not like that game. I dropped it pretty quickly. And Aero GPX, I'd never played it, but it looks pretty cool. It kind of reminds me of Wipeout, more so than F-Zero. It reminds me more of a Wipeout, but it's a very strongly contested category there. But the next one, maybe it's even more. No, it's not. But let's get into it. And now, the nominees for Best DLC, Update, Content Drop, etc. And the nominees are... Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erd Tree. Vampire Survivors, the Castlevania DLC. Dredge, the Iron Rig. Dead Island 2, Sola Festival. Bro-Tato, Abyssal Terrors. And the winner is... Who could have seen this coming? It's Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erd Tree. Oh, who could have seen this coming? Yes, of course, Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erd Tree is the winner here. With a big sliver, though, cut out for the Vampire Survivors Castlevania DLC. Obviously, there was a lot of Castlevania fans in the audience who decided to vote because it got a rousing 3 votes out of 13. Elden Ring Shadow of the Erd Tree was a completely new area to explore, lots of new enemies and stuff like that, but a lot of the same that we knew from Elden Ring from the base game. Just an amped up difficulty for sure. Oh! When I beat the game, it was before the big update that nerfed the final boss, so I do take solace in that I was able to beat it before the big nerf happened. But even if you do beat it after the big nerf, it is still an accomplishment to complete Shadow of the Erd Tree, no matter what. Vampire Survivors, the Castlevania DLC. I did not play this one myself, but obviously there's a lot of fans of Castlevania out there who really enjoyed that. I did not get to play the Sola Festival DLC for Dead Island 2, or the Iron Rig DLC for Dredge. The Abyssal Terrors for Bro-Tato, also I did not get to play that, but I still do enjoy my time playing Bro-Tato. So yeah, that was that category was on lockdown from the get-go, so it's not really that surprising that Shadow of the Erd Tree won. But also, I just gotta say, hey, Game Awards, give it a separate category. Just give it a fucking separate category. All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty here with the next category for...
Hello everyone, it's Tay from Taymation Studios and Film Freaks, here to present the nominees for the Best Multiplayer. And the nominees are... Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Helldivers 2, Web Fishing, Chained Together, Marvel Rivals, And the winner is...
All right, Helldivers 2 is the winner for Best Multiplayer. With Call of Duty Black Ops 6 coming in second, and Marvel Rivals coming in third, with Chained Together right behind that. This was a interesting event here, because even though a lot of people enjoyed Helldivers 2 when it first came out, I thought that Black Ops 6 was going to overtake it by the time that the end of the year came around, but it did not. Helldivers 2 did end up staying strong, and maybe it's because of that new multiplayer expansion that they just did, where they added a whole new faction, boosted the numbers there. Who knows? But yes, I do think that Helldivers 2 deserves Best Multiplayer. I think out of all the multiplayer experiences this year, it was the most intense, it was the craziest, and it was probably one of the most frustrating as well, let's be honest. But still, very fun time for Helldivers 2. Black Ops 6, what more can be said about Black Ops 6 other than, yep, it's a good multiplayer experience. And then Marvel Rivals, I think it's just too new. It came out in December. I think it's just too new. Not enough people have been gotten to play that yet. And then the Chained Together was in fourth place here. And that was a fun multiplayer experience, working together with someone else to climb a seemingly endless tower. Web fishing was the kind of like the the oddball out here, because it was more of like a chill time, kind of like the underground indie game that people played. But yes, thank you to Tay for presenting Best Multiplayer. Helldivers 2 ends up getting the dub here. All right. Let us move on. What is next? What is next? Let's go with this one. And now, the nominees for Best Combat. They are Black Myth Wukong, Helldivers 2, Marvel Rivals, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Rivals of Aether 2, and the winner is a bit of an upset. It's Helldivers 2 once again, getting the win here. Followed closely by Black Ops and Black Myth Wukong. I was expecting Black Myth Wukong to take the lead here, but maybe it's because you only have one real weapon throughout the entire game. That's why people wanted to go with Helldivers 2 over Black Myth Wukong. But yes, Helldivers 2, definitely a fun combat experience. It's one of those games that it's not really a once in a lifetime, but it is definitely once in a blue moon that you get a game that really captivates you in the combat category enough to be like, wow, this is pretty crazy. How you fight the bugs and the robots, and now of course the aliens faction, very fun, and all the different weapons that you can use, all the different stratagems you can throw down, also very good. Third place was Black Ops 6. Not much else to say there other than, yep, it's a shooty bang bang kind of game. And then Marvel Rivals came in at fourth place, which once again I think it's just a little bit too new. And it's also a bit too close related to Overwatch for my taste. And then Rivals of Aether 2, if you don't know what that is, it's kind of like a Smash Brothers hero brawler type game. No votes for that one, but it looked kind of fun. So yes, Best Combat is done. Okay, let's go ahead and go to a category that's kind of adjacent to Best Combat, which is...
Hello, this is D&D Lucy. I am a moderator for Yemmy's Discord and Twitch channel, and I just mess with him mostly in that case. This category I'm doing is Best Gameplay, and the nominations are Frog Monster, Banishers, Ghost of New Eden, Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown, Parking Garage, Rally Circuit, and Black Myth Wukong. And the winner is...
Well, finally, Black Myth Wukong does it. They got a win here for best gameplay. Followed behind by Banisher's Ghost of Eden, and tied for third place was Frog Monster and Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. Black Myth Wukong does have some nice gameplay in there. I like using all different magic to help out with the bow staff stuff. The one thing that I think the game struggles with is the platforming, which doesn't have a lot to do in the game, but yeah, pretty fun gameplay experience there. Obviously, gameplay is the entire accompaniment of the gameplay, which includes combat. Second place was Banishers. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a pretty good game in terms of gameplay. Lots of fun exploration to do, lots of fun combat encounters, etc., etc. Prince of Persia, fun game as well. Metroidvania, of course. Fun gameplay loop there. Frog Monster, very good Souls-like first-person shooter. Definitely has great gameplay. Unfortunately, Parking Garage Rally Circuit did not get any points here, which I kind of expected, because who's heard of that other than Ferret64 listeners? But Parking Garage Rally Circuit is one of the best racing games, I would say, that came out this year. I thought it felt perfect in terms of like a drifting racing game, and the multiple cars you use felt really good in the game as well. So I just thought that was one of my nominations there. Threw that on there because I think it deserved the gameplay nod. Yeah, Black Myth Wukong, congratulations on the win here. Who could have seen this coming? Maybe not me. All right, we're getting into the more important categories, right? We're getting into the categories that are leading up to that coveted game of the year. Let's go ahead and move on to this one. And now, the nominations for Most Unique Experience. And they are... Animal Well, The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom, Grun, Balatro, Nightmare Cart, and the winner is... Balatro is the winner. That's right. Balatro gets the dub here. Deserved. Well-deserved one. I mean, what other game has combined the poker hands with a roguelite deck builder? It is a very unique experience, very fun experience, of course. And I could not see any other game winning this category personally, even though I do think that in terms of uniqueness... Nightmare Cart is definitely up there, along with, of course, the other games as well. But Balatro gets the dub, followed by Echoes of Wisdom, and then in third place, Animal Well. Echoes of Wisdom, obviously a pretty unique game for the Legend of Zelda series, where you place down objects to either help you do platforming and or fight enemies, solve puzzles and dungeons, etc., etc. So definitely a unique game there for that series. And Animal Well is a pretty unique Metroidvania. The objects or stuff that you use to traverse around the areas, like the frisbee and the bubble wand and et cetera, definitely was very unique. A very unique Metroidvania all the way down to the ending. Nightmare Kart is a very unique Souls-like kart racer, which I have never heard of in my life before, but I thought it definitely deserved a nod here for most unique experience. And then Grun is the one game that I did not get to play from last year that I did want to play. Essentially, you play as like a gardener, and strange things happen. So I think all these games definitely deserve to be in this category, but there was only going to be one winner, and of course, I think Balatro definitely deserved the win here for that. So there you go. All right, next up, a category that's important to a lot of people. Here are your nominees for Best Graphics and Visuals. And the nominees are Astrobot, Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Flock, Black Myth Wukong, and the winner is Astrobots. Of course, it's Astrobot. Best graphics and visuals. The meticulous design of Astrobot is apparent from the get-go. It just looks so wonderful. Just the different environments and stuff that you go into, the different ways that you interact with the world with Astro himself. Just a very clean, polished, fun looking game. All the various different bots that you can find are also very meticulously designed, and you're able to tell, like, oh, that's a character from Ghouls and Goblins, or oh, that's a character from Gravity Rush, and oh, that's a character from, oh my gosh, that's a character from Concrete Genie. You know, there's it's just the meticulous way that they designed each bot, the meticulous way to design the graphics for all the various levels that you go into. Very good there. In second place was Senua's Saga Hellblade 2. Obviously a visual treat for the eyes, maybe not for gameplay-wise, but for the visuals and graphic style, definitely a treat for the eyes there. Lots of cool stuff going on. One of the best segments of the game is when you are on the shoreline and you are fighting like this big, giant dude. And it's just one of the most visually spectacular parts of the game. Black Myth Wukong, also a very strong visual and graphics style game. Very, very well done there. And Call of Duty Black Ops 6, yeah, I mean, it has good graphics. Don't get me wrong, it does have good graphics. But I think when you put it up against these other games, it doesn't really compare. And then the one game that didn't receive any votes, which was Flock, I think this was nominated for the wrong category. This was definitely a miss nominee. Because even though I think the visuals are great, I think that the gameplay department would have been the place that I would have nominated this one for. But Flock, still a fun game, still a great little experience. It's on Game Pass, I'm pretty sure, if you want to check that out. You essentially go around and you find the various creatures, wildlife in these areas, and they join your flock, and you use them for various things. So, but yeah, best visuals and graphics goes to Astrobot. I don't think that was in any. It was not going to be questioned, obviously. All right, we've checked off a lot of categories. There's only a couple left, so let's go ahead and move on to this one.
Hey guys, I'm 92oso, and I am a 420 variety streamer, as well as an overall friend to the community. Best Narrative. And the nominees are... Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Banishers Ghosts of New Eden, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Another Crab's Treasure. Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth. And the winner is...
The winner is Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. The Big Sphere wins it in the narrative category. The newest game to get a victory here. Even though there were other games that were newer that were nominated, like Marvel Rivals, Indiana Jones is the one game that was released in December to get a big win there. And I mean, how can you not say that Indiana Jones has one of the best stories this year? It really does feel like an Indiana Jones adventure from start to finish. And what more can you ask for from a game like this? In second place was Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, of course. I have no thoughts about that, but of course it's in second place. Tied for third place is Another Crab's Treasure and Banisher's Ghost of New Eden. Banisher's definitely had a great story to it. Really enjoyed my time with that. Another Crab's Treasure, kind of a weird one to have for best narrative. Even though the story was good, I do feel like, yeah, you know, it was serviceable at best. And Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth got one vote here in fourth place. Not a bad story for that one, even though I didn't finish it myself. It did get pretty wild, which most Like a Dragon games and Yakuza games do. But yes, Indiana Jones, the Big Sphere, did get the dub here, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool. Yemmy probably felt dirty for downgrading footage of Final Fantasy VII. Did I really downgrade it, though? Did I? All right, that's the best nominee, and thank you to 920. Apparently, he was blitzed out of his mind while recording that, and he did a great job. He did a great job. All right, we only have a couple categories left. And let's see, we got Best Indie left. We have Game of the Year, of course. And we have this one. Here are the nominees for the game that left you speechless. And they are 1000X Resist, Banishers, Ghosts of New Eden, Another Crab's Treasure, Mouth-washing, Animal Well, and the winner is Mouth-washing by a margin of 1 vote. 1 vote. That's right. I was pretty shocked when I saw the results here because it seemed like Another Crab's Treasure was going to win this one, but Mouth-washing stole it with the last sheet that was turned in. So just goes to show once again, your votes do count. They sway these nominations. But yes, Mouth-washing definitely is a speechless kind of game. You play through it and it has some very crazy moments in it that are definitely very jaw-dropping, I would say. Another Crab's Treasure, beating some of those bosses can probably leave you a bit speechless. You beat that boss and you go, well, that just happened. Especially that final boss, which is very, very good. But yeah, I loved Mouth-washing and I loved Another Crab's Treasure. 2 games that I thought were very good here for the Left You Speechless category. 1000 Times Resist. I was kind of mixed on that one. For a game that leaves it can leave you speechless for sure. I think that it does have some pretty crazy things going on in there. And then Animal Well and Banisher's Ghost of New Eden tied for 4th place. both games, I definitely would put Animal Well over Banishers in terms of like games that left me speechless this year. But Banishers definitely had a couple moments that were like, oh, that's kind of cool. That's really shocking, you know. So yeah, very, very good win for Mouthwashing there. Hey, welcome in, Chris. Hope you're doing well today. Yes, Mouthwashing definitely has a pretty crazy story to it, especially, well, I don't want to give anything away, but especially towards the end there. But yeah, I very much, this is one of those categories that was my brainchild, the game that lets you speechless, because there's a lot of games that do have like a moment that makes you go, whoa, or oh my god, or what the hell was that, right? And I thought that we should definitely nominate games for that category. All right, we have 2 more categories. We have 3. 3. Okay, I miscounted before. I almost missed the one that, one that people would have missed. And now, your nominees for Best Platformer. Oops, that's the wrong one. That's the wrong one. Yemmy.
Hello there, Shamai! I am Player 2, a once upon a time streamer that now lurks and plays Pokemon TCG and makes TikToks. Yep. But most importantly, I am a proud member of the Ferret Nation, and very much like Cult of the Lamb, I believe in our leader and saviour, Yemmy. Hallelujah! Anyways, I'm here today to present the Ferret Award for the best performance by an actor or actress. And the nominees are Melina Juergens as Senua from Hellblade 2, Hannah Tell as Max Caulfield from Life is Strange Double Exposure, Brianna White as Aerith from Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Andrew Nolan as Harold Halibut from Harold Halibut, and Michael Reeves as Firth and the Lone Shark from Another Crab's Treasure. And the winner is...
The winner is Brianna White, who plays Aerith from Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. This was another very close one indeed, with Melina Juergens trailing just by a couple of votes there. But yes, Brianna White won it. And also thank you to P2 for coming out of his cave to do the presentations there for us. I was also very shocked when he said he makes TikToks. I did not know that. So I'll have to maybe search for his TikTok feed, I guess. But yes, Brianna White, obviously, a lot of people raved about her performance this year. I cannot say anything personally about it because I didn't play the game, but I do know that people were pretty crazy about that. Melina Juergens, who won at the Game Awards, she did not win at the Ferret Awards, unfortunately, but she did have a very good performance, much like her performance from the first game. Tied for 3rd place was Michael Reeves and Hannah Tell. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I didn't really enjoy Hannah Tell's performance as Max Caulfield in the game, but obviously because this is a fan-nominated category, as they all are, I didn't have any say in this one. But I personally wouldn't have put her on here, even though she's a great person. Didn't really like the performance. Michael Reeves, though, first voice acting role. He's a pretty big YouTuber. Did a great job as Firth, and of course he also played the Lone Shark at the beginning of the game, which is more of like a little goofy thing there. But his performance as Firth, especially towards the end, he definitely gave it his all. Who didn't get a vote was Andrew Nolan, who plays Harold Halibut. I enjoyed his performance as Harold Halibut. I thought that was one of the better parts of the game, was his performance. A lot of people gave good performances in that game, but Brianna White wins it, and there you go. What else is there to say? All right, now we are down to the last 2. So let's go ahead and kick it off with this one.
Hello, my name is Grady Waffles. I am here to present the Best Indie Game category. And the nominees are Animal Well, Another Crab's Treasure, Balatro, Mouth Washing, and Nightmare Cart. Alright, Yemmy, let us know who the winner is.
I sure will, buddy. It's Another Crab's Treasure. Another Crab's Treasure wins the Best Indie Game. Very good, very good, very good. Obviously, Another Crab's Treasure was a huge snub at the Game Awards. I don't know why it wasn't nominated for Best Indie Game or Best whatever, but hey, it's here, and definitely was a very fun Souls-like, kind of a more whimsical Souls-like experience where you use your the various things you can find on the floor of the sea, the bottom of the sea, to protect yourself from the various creatures of the deep. And it was a very fun time, a little bit glitchy, obviously, but very fun time. Tied for second place was Animal Well and Balatro. I mean, two very strong contenders here as well. Animal Well being created by one person, much like Balatro also was created by one person. Animal Well was the first game released by or published by Big Mode, which is Video Game Donkey's company. And then Balatro, a single developer who just had an idea, thought it wasn't going to sell well, but decided to put it out there anyway. And what do you know? It was a very, very fun game. And then Mouthwashing coming in at fourth place, received one vote. Obviously, it's a very good indie game. I don't know if it's one of the best indie games this year, but it was a very good one. And then not receiving any votes was Nightmare Cart, unfortunately. But that was a pretty fun game too. Souls-like kart racer. What more can you say other than congratulations and Another Crab's Treasure. Another Crab's Treasure. Very fun. Very fun. All right, folks. It's time. Get hyped. It's time for the game of the year. Boy, who could it be? Who could it be? Let's find out. Here are your nominees for Game of the Year. And they are Astrobot, Balatro, Nine Souls, Banishers, Ghosts of New Eden, Rusty's Retirement, and the winner is... It's Astrobot! Of course it's Astrobot! How could it not be Astrobot? Astrobot took the world by storm, still has by its metal fingers. Yes, of course, Astrobot first place here. Game of the Year winner for the Ferret Awards. Very fun time, very good platformer. Great, I mean, all around a great experience. I mean, what more could you really want from a video game? It has it all. It has it all. In second place was Balatro. Well-deserved second place. And tied for third place was Nine Souls and Banisher's Ghosts of New Eden. Nine Souls was like a Sekiro-inspired 2D Metroidvania. It was a very hardcore game, but also a very good one. Banisher's Ghosts of New Eden, I've talked about it a couple times now. Very fun action-adventure game. I mean, it was very God of War coded at times with the traversal and stuff like that, but the combat was more so its own thing. And then not receiving any votes was Rusty's Retirement, which I think that this was also another like nominated one where it's like maybe it should have been for best indie game, or maybe it should have been for most unique experience. But it was not nominated for those categories. It was nominated for Game of the Year. So I think that was a bit of a miss in terms of nominees here. But I really enjoy Rusty's Retirement. I mean, we're playing it right now in the background on Twitch. On Twitch, we play it for every single Twitch stream. People join the farm and help out with the farm. I think that it's a very fun, chill game. Definitely deserves to be in a category. Maybe not Game of the Year, though. But yeah, Astrobot, right up there. I think that it definitely deserves the win here, much like it deserved the win at the big game awards, right? And Balatro coming in second place, not a bad finish for a game that is also very, very good. But yes, that is the Ferret Awards, folks. Thank you so much to all the presenters who came and gave me their audio. Thank you to everyone who participated in the voting, in the nominations. It was a very, very fun time. Much like every year, it's a fun time. And I will see you all next year for another rendition of the Ferret Awards, the 5th annual, 5 years in a row. It started off as just I picked the nominees and I sent out the voting and I picked the winners, and then it turned quickly into you guys get to choose the winners. You guys get to choose the nominees, and we've just kind of gone from there. So if you missed out on the Ferret Awards this year, you want to nominate something next year, it always happens at the end of December. The nomination period is usually like a week before Christmas, and then the week after Christmas, and then the voting sheet is available until the 1st of the year. So if you want to check that out next year, mark your calendar for next year. Ferret Awards will be coming back, of course, after we get through another year of games. We'll see what comes out this year. Yeah, we might have a pretty stacked year, especially if Nintendo releases a new console.
Mission complete.
All right, we're going to switch over to a live recording of the Ferret64 podcast, which we are technically doing right now as well. But if you would like to stick around for that, we got some stuff to show off in terms of game-wise. I have a big pile of games to show off that I got this past month. And we'll get into some news and what I've been playing these past 2 weeks. I'm going to take a quick break, refill my water, get everything ready, but I will be right back. So sit tight, and I'll be right back. All right, welcome back. We refilled our water. The water.
Excuse me for dropping in.
And we are good to go. Now, welcome to this episode of Ferret64. It is being recorded live right now on Twitch. So thank you to everyone who is here for the live recording. Really do appreciate that. My voice is getting very scratchy. I have not talked this much in a while since my sickness began, so I will hopefully survive through this. But we do have some games to show off, and I know that there's a lot of people who love this section of the podcast. I know it's only a monthly thing at this point, but I think that really helped it because the stack is always immaculate. Not all these games that I purchased this year, or well, last year, but a lot of them are new to us. So let's see what we got. We're going to start off with my stack of N64 games because we did December 64 last month, which I'll talk about a couple of these games. We did do December 64 last month, which included a lot of classics in terms of N64 games. But I do want to start off with a group of games that I got in a 4-pack before December 64 started. Not all these games are going to be good, obviously, but we did play a couple of them during the month of December 64. We tried V-Rally, 99? This is like a stock car rally game. It's a simulation game. Terrible. Absolutely, graphics sucked. Driving sucked. We played about 30 seconds of it. A game that we played and finished was All-Star Baseball 99. It was fine, nothing too crazy, but All-Star Baseball 99. I also got a game called Knockout Kings 2000, and I believe that's Muhammad, or is that Mike Tyson? That's Muhammad Ali on the front. Muhammad Ali on the front there. This one looks a little bit worse for wear, of course. And then the final game of the lot was Excitebike 64, which was, I bought this 4-game lot for like $20, and Excitebike is worth the price, so alone. So that's kind of why I did Excitebike. Send me the rally game? No, it's in my collection. I can't send you a game that I just showed off. But Excitebike was a very mixed bag for us, so we'll talk about that later. Alright, here are the games that I already had that we played for December 64. We got Vigilante 8, one of the best games ever made. I know it has a sequel, but goddamn do I just love Vigilante 8. This was the first T-rated game I ever purchased with my own money. And I got it from, I think I bought it from Blockbuster back in the day. This was obviously repurchased. Wave Race 64, a very fun racing game. A little bit janky, but a very fun racing game. Pretty fun time. Namco Museum 64. This is a game that I had when I was a kid. It has like 6 or so games on it, including Pac-Man, Ms. Pac-Man, Galaga, Galaxian, Pole Position, and Dig Dug. The main theme for this game is a banger. It's a banger. Very fun theme. Very fun games. Good games all around for this one. Diddy Kong, oops, oh my gosh. Diddy Kong Racing. Very good game, very good racing game. Still one of the best kart racers out there. Stuck on the N64. I know there's a 3DS version. Not as good as this game. Not as good as the original game right here. Definitely check this out if you haven't yet on the N64. Very, very good. Maybe they'll add to NSO eventually. And the last game that we tried to play, which I have physically, was Jet Force Gemini. This is kind of blue chunks. I was planning on finishing it, but then the game was like, oh, you have to collect 1,000,000 fucking things. And I said, no thank you. No thank you. Alright, now let's move on to some games that are, I guess you can consider them retro, that I got this past week. First up, Star Wars, not this past week, this past month. Star Wars The Force Unleashed. Someone was selling this online for $11, the Xbox 360 version. And I said, yes, please. Because this was a good game. I know the Wii version is apparently the superior version, but had to pick that up myself. Because I didn't have it. I looked at my shelf. I'm like, I don't have fucking Star Wars Force Unleashed. What the hell? Also, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire 2nd edition. This was being sold on eBay for $2 plus shipping, so it was like $5. I thought this would be kind of a fun game to test my knowledge a little bit. But there we go. We got Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. You can get into the $1 million sweepstakes. Rest in peace, Regis Philbin. Oh, the disc fell out for some reason. It's because the disc holder is broken, of course. Also, I already revealed this one, but Pipe Dreams 3D, another bargain that I found on eBay. This will be a pretty fun game to revisit. I played this game a lot at my cousin's house. Pretty fun disc there. Pipe Dreams, kind of like it's a pipe panic game. What do you want? And then, this is the big reveal, folks. This right here is the big reveal. Final Fantasy VIII. Greatest hits edition, of course. Final Fantasy VIII, found this for $20. And I said, you know what? It's Callus's favorite game. Why not buy that? Includes the manual. And all 3 discs. Final Fantasy VIII. Maybe coming soon to a stream near you. All right, one last retro title. We got PSP version of Buzz Master Quiz. If you don't know, I've been collecting Buzz games for the past couple months now, and this was one of the last ones that I needed. You know what? There's probably a disc behind the... Hold on, let me see. Probably a disc behind the manual here. Yep, there it is. Don't worry, we got them all. Get them all. Yeah, so Buzz Master Quiz. I wanted to pick this up because I'm a pretty big fan of Buzz. I found out that I'm a pretty big fan of Buzz, so Buzzy boy. All right, let's get into some newer pickups that I've had. Well, actually, let me start off with some games that I'm going to talk about today. I just wanted to show these cases off because when else am I going to do that? Rise of the Ronin. This is in my collection. I've talked about it a couple times on the podcast. And I will talk about, for the last time, I will talk about it today. Also, Life is Strange Double Exposure. I think I actually showed this one off not too long ago. But once again, I will be talking about this game for the final time today. Alright, next up. Miitopia. I was supposed to get a copy of Splatoon 2 from Best Buy, but they sent me Miitopia instead. I don't know if I'm going to enjoy this game, but there you go, Miitopia. The reason why I bought Splatoon 2 was because it was like $5 less than they were selling this one. So technically I got a pretty good deal, which is why I didn't actually trade this one back and get the game I was supposed to get, because I got a better deal in the end. So why would I do that? Alright, the next game has a bit of a story to it. It's a Lollipop Chainsaw Repop. This came from Limited Run Games this past month. And I actually ordered this copy, and they delivered it to the wrong address. So I talked to the representative at Limited Run, and they were like, well, we can send you a copy of the game when we reprint it. So they did that. They sent me a new copy. The same day that I got my new copy, another copy of the game showed up. The one that was sent to the wrong address. So I had two copies. I gave one to my other half's uncle. But I just thought that was a pretty funny thing that they both showed up on the same day. I don't know. It was weird. It was weird. But Lollipop Chainsaw, the one reason that I got this was because the cover is so bad. She is bent over in an unnatural position, probably just to show off the breasts. Alright, for Christmas this year, I did get a game for Christmas this year that most of you already know. I got Tekken 8. This is a little metal sign that it came with it. But I did get Tekken 8. I plan on playing this because I do fancy myself a bit of a Tekken player. I played a bit of 6, but I did like that one. There you go, Tekken 8. All right, here are some other games that I got throughout the month. We got Trover Saves the Universe. This is a PlayStation VR game. This comes from, of course, the same guy who did Rick and Morty, so you kind of know what the comedy is going to be like in this game. They were selling this on Amazon for $10, and I said, okay, might as well. I don't have it, so might as well pick that up. Next up, another limited run game, which is Beyond Good and Evil 20th Anniversary Edition. I've been waiting for this one. This is a pretty fantastic game. This is the remastered version. I specifically did not buy the digital version because I knew that this was coming out. So, you did good, Limited Run Games, because this is a very nice quality print. We played this game on stream quite a while ago, and when I was dancing around the notion of playing through all the Devil May Cry games in December, I decided to pick this up again because, you know, it's a new version of the game. It's the PS5 version game. I did not have this physically. I had it digitally on Steam. So I wanted to get Devil May Cry 5. This is the special edition that comes with all the DLC. And someone was selling it for like $15 on eBay, so I said, why not? You know, why not? So yeah, Devil May Cry 5. A lot of people said that this should have won Game of the Year when it came out, but it's still a very fun game. Very fun game. I'll probably replay it in the future. Here's one that is going to make people's eyes go boing. Why did you do that, Yemmy? Final Fantasy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 collection. This was $70 when it originally was printed. Now it is down to $40. And I said that's a good price. It's back up to $70 now. But I said that's a good price. This is one of those games that I bought because I feel like it's only going to go up in value. Especially the PS4 version. But I did not want to pay full price of $70 for it because that is a lot of money for a game series that I'm not super into. But Final Fantasy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 collection. I'm sorry, it stops at 6 collection there. Maybe I'm the true Final Fantasy fan. Finally, for this section today, we got one more collection of games. I bought this because, once again, it was a very good price for like an Amazon Black Friday or Cyber Monday deal. Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection. This is a group of games that came out on the Game Boy Advance. And they are, of course, Mega Man games. The reason why it's open is because the disc was loose. That is the only reason why. But I thought they looked kind of fun. Kind of like little strategy games. I believe this one includes both Legacy Collection 1 and 2. So that's pretty nice. And there you go. Those are the pickups in games for the month of December 2024. There you go. All right, let's move on to the next part of the show, which is what have I been playing this past week? All right. Let's talk about Rise of Ronin. Rise of the Ronin. This... Oh god, I just moved that into the wrong place there. This is a game that I've been working on since it came out in March of last year. It is not my favorite Team Ninja game that they ever released. And I will tell you why. They, how do I put this lightly? They fucked up the combat. I think that at the beginning of the game, I was more lenient because I was like, oh, I'll get more used to it as it goes on. And, you know, we'll get more powerful and the combat will maybe get a bit more flowing. But no, the combat did not entice me throughout the entire experience. For the first area, sure. The first area was fine in terms of combat. But as you go further into the game, it just kind of became a nuisance, and I more so didn't want to do the combat. I stealth through a lot of the second half of the game, which I guess is nice that you can do that, but it's just one of those things where I was just very disappointed with the overall experience, and having the combat be as annoying as it was definitely took it down another notch for me. One of the main things that I don't like is the parry system. You have to time your parry strike in a very weird way, and every weapon and every stance has a different parry style. So not only do you have to learn every single stance and its timing, but you also need to learn like the various moves that the enemies do, because sometimes they will do an attack and it's like, oh, it flashes red, that's when I'm supposed to do the parry, right? Wrong. You gotta wait till they actually attack you. So now you have to learn a bunch of different things at the same time. And don't get me wrong, it's not like I was terrible at the game and not able to pick it up and play it. But it did just become a very annoying loop of like, alright, now I need to remember what this guy does, and now I need to remember how to deflect this, and now I need to remember how to do this. And it just became a very annoying loop, especially later on, because I decided to switch over to just using the Odachi. I just learned everything that there was about the Odachi and said, okay, this is my weapon of choice. It's my most powerful weapon. I'm just going to use this, and no matter what, I know the 3 stances, I know the different moves, and that's kind of how it went for the rest of the game. I just used the Odachi, which got very boring because I was more so enjoying the bayonet. Funny enough, the rifle with the bayonet on it. I was more so enjoying that combat style. It was more fun, it was more fluid, I liked the finishing moves that you had with it. But the problem is that it just wasn't very powerful. My Odachi, by the end of the game, did 600 damage on its own, and my best rifle with bayonet only did 250, which I'm not going to use a 250 powered weapon against the late game enemies. That's just not going to happen. So I was a bit annoyed with that they did not keep giving you better versions of the weapons to keep them as powerful as each other. Yeah, it just became a bit of a boring slog towards the end because I was just using the one weapon, and I wasn't really mixing it up because, well, why would I when I would have to learn a whole new style of weapon? I would have to become familiar with the weapon to get the max damage anyway. The one thing that I did switch out a lot was my outfits. They kept giving you better gear, but that was a more annoying thing for the game too, was they gave you so much gear. I feel like it took me at least 10 minutes to sift through my entire inventory and either sell or dismantle things, which was very annoying. I didn't really do a lot of upgrading, but when I did it, it was a very slow and tedious process of selecting everything and then either selling it or dismantling it for the materials. And I did that several times throughout the game where I just had to dump everything in my inventory and then refill my inventory and dump it again. They just gave you too much stuff in the game to sift through. And Neo does have that same issue in my opinion, where it's like, yeah, you have tons of gear that you find. Most of it is just bad, but you know, you're gonna end up like selling it or dismantling it for the materials anyway. And I feel like for a game like this that's more coded in an open world setting, maybe calm down on giving me so much useless crap, you know. The story is fine, it's serviceable. My problem with the story, though, was that you fight the same enemies so much. I'm not talking about regular enemies, I'm talking about bosses. There are a lot of bosses that reappear simply because you don't finish the job when you first meet them. And it started off very early on by fighting your twin several times in the first chapter, and I was like, damn, I mean, I sliced them in half with this one move. I think they're dead. Nope, they came back throughout the entire game. There's other characters as well who you fight for what seems like hours on end, and then they just kind of, you know, at the end of it, there's a cutscene where they get away, and that's one of the more annoying things about the game too. One of the things I do like about the story was going through and choosing what side you wanted to be on, whether you wanted to be on the side that was trying to protect Japan from getting that, you know, Eastern influence, and then there's the other side that was embracing the Eastern influence, and you know, using the various weapons that they were given and working with the French soldiers or the English soldiers or whoever. So it was cool to choose what side you wanted to be on. I ended up siding with the French, you know, the side that was the side of Japan that was embracing the culture of the East. Yeah, I mean, the story was fine at its core. It was a bit bloated in my opinion. It went on for a little bit too long. It kind of stretched the boundaries of how long I feel like it should have been. But what you gonna do? In the end, even though I enjoyed the open world for the most part, there was just too much to do, too many things to find. The first area was a nice compact area. It showed you everything that you needed to see. It had a ton of collectibles. But after I was done, I was like, yeah, I mean, that was a decent first area. I hope that the second area isn't too big. And then you get to the second area and it's huge. It was massive. And I ended up skipping a lot of the collectible finding until I finished the game, and I was just kind of like wanting to snoop around, you know. And it's unfortunate that there's so much to find and so much to do, because a lot of it is just the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. And unlike Ghost of Tsushima, it really doesn't feel like you're doing anything to better the world. Where when you complete stuff in Ghost of Tsushima, it's like, okay, well now this area is devoid of Mongols, or now there won't be as many Mongol patrols, or now, you know, you have allies who will come out of the woodworks and help you sometimes, right? In Rise of the Ronin, it doesn't really feel like anything's changed after you've solved the various issues of the area. The one thing that I did like finding was the cats. And that was because you found them for like this queen or whatever, and you could increase your relationship with her artificially simply by just finding the cats. So in terms of like relationships with other characters, she was the easiest one to romance. But I liked finding the various cats. What I didn't like was that for some reason, randomly, some of them would just run away from you. That was very annoying. Especially because I couldn't really tell what was causing them to run away. I would crouch behind them and try and grab them. I would swoop in with my glider and try and grab them. And for some reason, they would still find me and run away. It was very weird. But most of them just kind of sat there waiting for you to do your thing. So it was a very weird system. The other thing that was a little bit annoying was the various landmarks you had to go to and take pictures of. Sometimes I just could not find where the picture needed to be taken or what of needed to be taken, which was very annoying. The other thing was the bandits. There were some really high value bounties that you could find, which were fun. But by the time that I was done with the game, I was so powerful that I was killing most of them in 2 hits. So, it wasn't very fun to take out the bandits anymore. Same thing happened with like the bandit camps. It became very easy to just stealth around because you can upgrade your stealth to not have the enemy see you as easily, and they can lose track of you easier and stuff like that. So you could just essentially stealth around the entire area, backstab the leader, hide, and backstab him again for the kill. So it just became very tedious to do. So all in all, I wish that I could give this a better score. It's a good attempt at an open world game, but it just is not there. And I gave it a 3 out of 5 at the end. It was a very average open world game. I had a lot of issues with it. Even though it was fine for the most part, I was maybe looking for something a bit more. And when you think about it, last year, in 2023, Wolong Fallen Dynasty came out. Thank you to Lucy for reminding me of the game's name, because I could not remember it for the life of me. And that was a semi kind of open world experience, but it was so much better than Rise of the Ronin. And I would rather go back and play Wolong 12 times than play Rise of the Ronin another time, which kind of tells you how much of a distaste I had for my time playing this one, which is unfortunate because I have become a Team Ninja fan. I beat Neo last year. It was a very good experience for the first time I beat it, and it got me interested. I played Wolong. I beat that. I thought that was also a very good experience with the banner system and all that. And I do want to play Neo 2 again, give it its fair chance. I just haven't gotten around to doing that yet. But I was really hoping that this game was going to rise up, be so much better than what we had. An open world, kind of Souls-inspired Neo kind of game. I thought that could be pretty cool. It was not. They should stick to the level-based stuff because that's where they thrive. Or they could take what they've learned from developing this game and maybe then make a better version of Rise of the Ronin. Is it worth finishing if you have gotten halfway through the game? I can't say yes, because it's really not that interesting. I wish that the idea of the game was more interesting. Well, I should say the idea of the game is more interesting than the execution, because choosing what sides you want to be on, whether you want to be on the side that's embracing Eastern culture or not, is an interesting idea on paper. It just does not get fleshed out enough. And because of that and more, I just did not enjoy the game fully. That's why I gave it an average 3 out of 5 score. So take that with what you will. I'm glad that I finished it because, it was a $70 game. So, goddamn, let me get my time out of it at least. But, yeah, it was just I cannot recommend this one for people who maybe want a Ghost of Tsushima experience, but maybe it's a bit harder, or maybe it's from a different company. This just was not it. It was average at best. All right, next up. Life is Strange. Double Exposure. This was going to be the last game that I was going to beat in the year, but that didn't happen, obviously, because other things came up that I wanted to finish. Or maybe it was the last game that I beat. Was it? Hold on, let me check. I kind of forget at this moment. No, it was not. Yeah, okay, other games came up. Okay. So I talked about this game, I think last episode of the podcast, and you could tell that I was not loving it. And after finishing the game, I just feel very empty about the experience. They introduce a lot of new characters. They try to introduce a lot of new ideas for the series as a whole. And it just does not come together, in my opinion. I really could not care that much about the new characters. I feel like if they just took the idea of Max growing up and being a teacher now, and having the people that you knew from the first game be in this game, I think that would have gone a lot better. Obviously, they couldn't do that because there's two sides to that original Life is Strange story. One is the entire town gets destroyed. The other is the entire town gets saved. So you can't really have those people from the last game come back if you decide to choose Destroy Arcadia. But it would have been so much better to have those characters from the last game come back, because then you would have some... I probably would have cared more about the story and the characters in the game if I knew them from the last one. But at this point, it's only Max who comes back, with a few other Easter eggs here and there, obviously. I think that the game as a whole is just a missed opportunity. Obviously, people agree with me because it didn't sell too well, and the studio had to, unfortunately, lay people off from the people who, the studio that developed the game. I just think that it's a big whiff. It's a big whiff. They could have taken this idea of Max teaching a class about photography and rode with it, but in the end, you don't do anything with that teaching job. You just snoop around the school, and you do things that really does not feel like Max should be doing. Snooping through briefcases, getting caught, snooping around corners. Like, I feel like she would be in a lot more trouble if this was real life, because she literally breaks and enters into various places. And I feel like the idea of the game should have been, sure, Max gets a power back, right? But also the influence on the kids that she's teaching. I think that would have been a much more interesting way to spin it. That, okay, maybe, a kid sees her snooping around a classroom or snooping through the briefcase that you're not supposed to snoop through. And then that could be a part of the game where you're influencing the students that you're teaching in this college. But no, you don't get any of that teaching at all in the game. The main draw of the game is the fact that you start off and you get to know this Safi character. And you also have another character, I forget his name right now. But the Safi character is shot and killed. And that's like the start of the game is Safi dies and the world's crumbling around you. In the span of the first chapter, you do get your new ability, which is you can now enter into the alternate reality where Safi did not get shot and killed. She lived. Well, she didn't get shot at all, but she stayed alive. And the idea is sound, double exposure. Get it? Two different worlds. I get it. The idea is there. the execution is very poor, because even though you're in the dimension where Safi's alive, you don't interact with her at all in the other dimension. Like, you see her a couple times, but for the most part, Safi is not there. You're talking to everyone else who you normally would talk to in the other dimension anyway. So it's one of those things where it's like, why should I care about this character if you're not giving me a reason to really care about them? And they don't. They don't give you a reason at all to care about any of the characters in the game. Even Max. I didn't really find myself connecting with the character as much as I did from the first game. So it's a very much a missed potential type game. They tried to include aspects of social media, and obviously you take the pictures and you post them online and people comment and stuff like that. It's like, that's fine, but you're not really selling me on this game. Also, this is a very expensive game for an 8-hour narrative experience that doesn't really have a lot of replay value, in my opinion. It also had a egregiously priced deluxe edition that just gave you a couple new skins for the character, and not even skins that like are really that interesting. So it's just a big cash grab in my opinion from Square Enix, cashing in on the idea of Max coming back, the idea of, you know, taking pictures with her and stuff like that again, and going through another mystery. And unfortunately, it just does not. It doesn't work. The story's not strong enough. The ending is abysmal. It's terrible. The ending's terrible. The character development is not there. There's just not a lot going on in this game that I would say like, yeah, ooh, I'm so excited to tell you about. No, I'm not excited to tell you about this game because it's just a very below average experience. And you know, and this is coming from a person who I think that the original Life is Strange is like a 4 out of 5. I have my issues with it, of course. But this game just kind of took too much from the bad version of Life is Strange, like Life is Strange 2, and I never played the third one, but yeah, it's just one of those things. It was very disappointing, and even though I really do like Max's character, I could not get behind the story that they were creating and all that stuff. So also, it doesn't help that the person who voices Max just seemed to not be into it for half of her line reads. And no hate towards the voice actress, of course, but I really did not feel... I didn't feel like she was giving the best performance for this game. And I felt that about a lot of characters. And the weird thing, too, is obviously because this game was kind of developed during the COVID times, there are some very drastic changes in the mic quality. There are some line reads in some section of the game that sounds like a completely different microphone was used. And it's one of those things that is very jarring because you just went from like a perfectly fine like studio microphone to... It sounded like someone was using a laptop microphone to record their lines on. And it's like, you gotta do better. You gotta re-record these lines. I mean, I know it takes a bit of extra time, but goddamn, like it just does. Nothing takes you out of a game more than bad audio quality. And this game had some really bad audio quality for the voice lines given. And I just feel like we could have done a lot better with that. So... Yeah, all in all, I believe I gave it a 2.5 out of 5. It's below average. It's well below the original game. I mean, I don't know if I would put it below the second game, because that second game is pretty bad, but it's definitely hovering right there around the second game. And they had the audacity to put Max Caulfield will return at the end of it, like a fucking Marvel movie, you know? Captain America will return, or whatever. They're taking Max's character into a way that I don't think it needs to go, and that is to make her kind of like a superhero, and it's just absurd. It's a bit absurd that they're trying to do that kind of thing with it. So if they do put out another game with Max, I'll be more apprehensive going into it, because this was just not... It just was not good. It was not a good experience. And I wished that it was going to be a good experience, but just was not a good experience at the end of the day. It left me wanting more from the character development. It left me wanting more from the story, and the ending was definitely not good. And the twist of the game also was just bad. I will be honest. The twist was not good either. So. All right, that is Life is Strange. Whatchamacall? Life is Strange. Double Exposure. Let's move on to a series of games that I enjoyed very much. Well, for the most part. The Strikers series. Strikers 1945, 1, 2, and 3. These games are all on Steam in the Neo Geo form. And I really, really enjoyed my time with them. I gave them all pretty high marks, except for the third one. The third one was a little bit of a dip in quality, in my opinion. The first 1945 game is probably my favorite. The second one is pretty good too, I will say. It's probably on the same level, honestly. But I have a lot of nostalgia for this series because back when my dad made his arcade cabinet for, it was his midlife crisis thing, I think, was to make an arcade cabinet. He loaded up a bunch of different memes for various old arcade classics. The 1945 series was one of those games that kind of drew me right away because it has a bit of a World War II aesthetic. Obviously, it's a bit more, fictionalized, of course, with the various more modern day stuff and the mechs in the game too. But I mean, this is probably one of the best. The first and second game are definitely two of the best bullet hells that I've ever played. And I'm so glad that I went back and revisited the series because all three of the games were good. Don't get me wrong, but the first two games were just phenomenal in terms of quality, and also like the bizarre nature of them. Like every boss turns into a mech. You shoot the regular version of the plane or whatever, and then it just turns into a mech, and that's like the most badass thing ever. The soundtrack is very good. The sprite work and animations are very good in these games as well. And each plane does control a bit differently, which is very nice. You do get that variety where it's like, oh, I chose the first plane that shoots missiles or whatever. The second one, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it does something else. It has a different spread for the bullets. It has a different power-up system. Maybe this plane has two little helpers that comes out and helps you defeat the various enemies. Maybe that's it. So, boy, I'm sorry. I'm still dealing with that cough there. So, in general, these are, like, if you're looking for a really good bullet hell kind of game, the first two 1945 games are definitely the cream of the crop. I think that both games have excellent boss fights, excellent music, excellent level design, and they have a good variety of vehicles that you can use. The third game went a bit off the wall, in my opinion, and even though I liked the new aesthetic of having a more modernized version of 1945, where it's you're using jet fighters and stuff like that, more modernized technology, kind of more like Cold War era stuff, because that's kind of when the game was based or made. But the problem is that they kind of ruined the experience by making it so brutally difficult that at times I did not feel like I had a chance to dodge anything on the screen just because of how many bullets were on the screen. Like, you're looking at the gameplay here, and the bullets, yeah, sure, there's a lot of bullets, but there's always a way to get around them. They time this stuff out perfectly. But with 1945-3, which is kind of awkward to say, there are times where there just was no way to dodge anything, and the special bomb abilities you have don't help you at all in terms of dodging bullets like in the first two games. So I was very disappointed with the third one because it was the only one of these in a trilogy that I had to modify the game and switch away from the 2 continues 3 life system. I had to end up giving myself a bunch more extra lives. And it was unfortunate because I thought that the game's sprite work was excellent and the soundtrack was once again really good, but they really just dropped the ball in terms of just the difficulty of it. And obviously it's because, they want you to waste as many quarters as you can inside of a game, right? But, when you're playing it in a modern context where you can use continues and you can do et cetera, It's just more annoying to have to constantly pause, and do your continues, and it's much more annoying to also recollect all your power-ups simply because the game decided to launch some bullshit at you. So in the end, I think I gave both Strikers 1 and 2 4 out of 5 or 4.5 out of 5, I forget. Both of those are very good. But the third game was like a 3 out of 5, maybe like a 3.5 out of 5. Still very good. I'm very glad that I returned to the series and I played it again. The funny thing is, though, is that the version of 1945 that I played on my dad's MAME, his self-built arcade system, was actually called 19XX, which is like a modded version of the game that kind of that includes stuff from all three of the series. And that one is not readily available online. So maybe one day when I go back to my parents, maybe I'll play through the 19XX version of the game, which is a very popular version of the game still. I think there's a lot of people who enjoy that version. That is actually the one that I played. These were also very good. I am pleased with the overall quality of these bullet hells. I think they're out of this world. They do things that sure a lot of games nowadays do as well. It was definitely a very fun experience, crazy experience at times, and I very much enjoyed my time playing through it. And obviously, it got very bizarre at the end, especially for the second game was the most bizarre. The third game was just absolute bullshit at the end. The spectacle of it was kind of wasted on me because it was so difficult. But the first two games have a very fun, closing sequence to them that kind of flips the script almost entirely on its head. So, very fun, very good games there. And I would recommend them. They're like $10 each on Steam. On sale, they're like $5 each. So, definitely worth checking out. All right, I guess I'm gonna keep the Strikers. Actually, I'm gonna switch over to the normal screen for this next part. So I also played a game called How Fish is Made. This was actually the first game that I finished this year in 2025. And How Fish is Made is a very bizarre adventure that was made by the same people who did Mouthwashing. This was actually the game before Mouthwashing. And I saw it on one of my friends' GG lists that they had finished it. And I was like, oh, that's kind of goofy. So I decided to play it. It's a very short experience. Probably took me about an hour to finish completely. And essentially what it is you play as a fish who is going through a factory of sorts. And you have a choice. Either go up or go down. And depending on what you choose is, how the ending plays out. And the game is just a very interesting dialogue journey where you're kind of playing as a fish, you're flopping around, and you talk to the other fish in the area. And they have some very interesting things to say. These fish have some very interesting things to say. The thing about Mouthwashing compared to this game is they both have very strong dialogue. The writing is fantastic in both games. How Fish is Made is obviously a bit more bizarre, but it's still very good. And I think that the experience is elevated by the bonus free add-on that they made for the game before Mouthwashing came out, which you take the helm of like a Katamari type character and you roll up the various fish that you were talking to and the various things in the room to grow and grow and grow until you can consume everything. It was a very fun finale for the game. But there's some really bizarre things that happen. Like there's those parasitic like creatures that they take control of like the fish. They're like these like white bug things. I hate the look of them. But essentially they kind of take over the fish's body. And one of those things was in the game, and he had like a musical number attached to him, which was just very bizarre. Like it happened, and I was like, "What the fuck," So there's some very interesting aspects. It's a free game, by the way. This is a free game. You can go on Steam right now and add it to your library for free. How Fish is Made. It's definitely worth playing, especially if you played Mouthwashing and you like the style, you like the dialogue. This is definitely a game that can be comparable to Mouthwashing in some ways. So if you want to check it out, it's a very good experience. I gave it a 4 out of 5. I really enjoyed my time with it. I don't remember when. I think it came out in like 2023 or something like that. So obviously it has no way to make it into a top 10 list this year or for 2024, but still a very fun, bizarre kind of adventure. And you know me, I like those more off the wall kind of adventures, especially nowadays where there's so many games trying to copy off of one another. You know, there's so many open world adventure games. There's so many Souls-like games now. There's so many RPGs that all kind of feel the same. It's good. It's good to play a game that is just very off the wall and very different, like How Fish is Made, like Arctic Eggs, like Mouthwashing. You know, all these games that are kind of similar graphically, but are very different gameplay wise, and they give you something different. They give you something different to do and to have fun with, and that's kind of what I really liked from 2024 was those more off the wall experiences. So there you go. Also, we finished a couple of Nintendo 64 games for December 64. I think the music is over, isn't it? Yep, let me just replay that. Let me just restart that. The funny thing is that it wasn't, I mean, the month ended not in the way that I wanted to end because I got sick. I got sick and I could not play games for a good chunk of the month, pretty much the last week. And I did pull it together, and I was able to down enough Robitussin and enough Dayquil to make it through a final stream for the year, which I was happy to be able to do because I finished 2 games in one sitting right before the end of the year. So I was able to boost my final number of games beaten by 2, which isn't like, it's not really that important to me how many games I finished in the year. Like, obviously, it's very impressive to finish over 100 games, let alone 200 games. And this past year, I think my final total was 215 in total finished games, which is a lot. And I know that I'm probably never going to be able to get to that number again. If I'm lucky, I'll get to 200 again, if I'm lucky. But really, each year, my main goal is like, yeah, try and finish the games that come out this year. You know, play through as many games as you can on stream. And that's kind of it. I usually get about 100, right? So it was very crazy that I got as many games as I did get done in 2024. And it's once again, it's not a competition. It's not like, oh, haha, I got 215 games and you only got 100. Loser, L. No, it's not like that at all. I think that any number of games beaten in a year is a nice number for anyone. But I know that I'm not going to be able to get back to this number, especially because my goal for this year of gaming is to play longer games. And we've already started Red Dead Redemption 2 on stream, which is going to be a longer game. I want to get back into the groove and get my brain back into the groove of playing through longer games. Because for whatever reason, these past 2 years, 2023 and 2024, I just really focused hard on really short experiences, which I loved most of them. But the problem is that you spend $70 on a very long game, like a Dragon or whatever, and you play like a couple hours, and then it's stuck on your shelf for the rest of its life. I don't want to do that. There's also a lot of VR games that I didn't get to play, which were a little bit longer, of course. And that's another goal for me as well, is to get back into playing VR games, because I do have a lot. I mean, I bought Metro Exodus, or whatever it's called. Metro Awakening VR. And I didn't even touch it. Mostly it's because I got sick, but still. I didn't even touch it. So that's another goal for me. One goal is to play longer games, and the other goal is to play more VR, which that's the same goal that I had the year before. And it kind of came true. Like, I played a couple of VR games, but I didn't finish too many. So this year I am looking to play more VR games and longer games. That's the two things. I still, of course, am going to play shorter experiences. You know, it's not like I'm going to completely axe out shorter experiences, because those are usually experiences that I enjoy the most. The compact adventures that aren't bloated, that don't have too much crazy going on, but are very unique and very fun. One game that comes to mind from this past year is Yellow Taxi Goes Vroom, which was a very unique kind of platformer game where you play this little taxi car, and you can't jump, but you can wind up and kind of do like stall outs to jump and get height. And it was a very fun open world adventure that was probably about 10 hours in total. I would much rather have played that than playing through 80 hours of whatever RPG came out, you know, that year. Dragon's Dogma or something like that. So even though I still don't really want to play like the 100-hour experience, because I'm not really into those long of games, I would still like to play longer experiences this year. So that's one of my main goals. Whether it's offline or on stream, I do want to really try and play through longer games this year. And VR games. And I also bought a lot of PSP games last year. I definitely want to try and get through some PSP games as well. So that's that. I went on a bit of I went on a bit of a tangent there. But we did end up beating a couple of extra games at the end of the year on stream. The first one being Excitebike 64, which was a very mixed bag for me. I liked playing the NSO version. That version was good because I could save my progress and not have to worry about restarting the entire 7-track tournament every time I failed or the physics got the best of me, right? Or like the AI was more aggressive and they kicked me off my bike. We played through more than half the game on the N64 original version. And by the time that we got to the gold circuit, it was just becoming too much for me to have to restart the entire tournament when I messed up once, or I got knocked off my bike at the beginning of a race. So we switched over to the NSO version, and I had to replay the entire game again. But it was worth it, because it saved our playthrough. Being able to save between races and restart races when just a little stupid thing happens, like, oh, the physics for some reason caused me to jump into the air and turn right. I don't know why it happened, but it happened. There's clips of it, there's proof. Or, you know, when you start off a race and you just get immediately knocked off your bike because everyone's so close together. Having the NSO service and being able to restart and act like it never happened was a godsend. It saved the game for me. The problem, though, is that I still think that the game is a janky mess. The controls are fine once you learn them. But the game just doesn't really play too well. The physics are all over the place. Just how the game kind of works is just a bit weird. The AI is just way too aggressive in the game as well. And it's just one of those things where it's like the gameplay does not carry it for as many hours as you need to play it for. And this is one of those games where if I didn't have the NSO version, I definitely would have quit after the bomb of rage that I expelled before we switched over to the Switch version. I definitely would have quit there. I am happy that we went through the game, and I am happy that we finished it, because this would have loomed over my head like a dark shadow for the entire year. Let's be honest. So in the end, Excitebike 64 was fine, but it was well below average, and I ended up giving it a D tier because it was just not an experience that I would like to have again. If they made a new Excitebike in the year 2025, I would be all over that, because it would probably have better everything. And I liked Excite Truck. Excite Truck was great on the Wii. I loved that game when I was a kid. Excitebike 64 just wasn't it, though. As for Namco Museum 64, this was a fun trip down memory lane. I've already said it, but the soundtrack is a banger for this one. It mixes all the different games on the soundtrack into one, and it does a very good job. Pole Position, Pac-Man, Galaxian, not the best games ever. Obviously, the future versions of those games would be the ones that really sold them, right? But they are fun trips down the history of gaming. The games worth their salt, Ms. Pac-Man, Dig Dug, Galaga, those are the ones that you really gotta play. If you haven't played those games, you're missing out on 3 or 4 of the best gaming experiences out there, especially Galaga. Galaga is such a classic. I love playing Galaga. I could play that game for hours on end and never get bored. The version on the N64 is a good version. It plays well. There's obviously newer versions on Steam and stuff like that too that you can play. The Ms. Pac-Man, I've always enjoyed Ms. Pac-Man over Pac-Man. I think that the varying levels, the fruit bouncing around and going around the stage and stuff like that, it all just works so much better than the original Pac-Man. There's actually a story to Ms. Pac-Man as well, funny enough. Dig Dug is just a great little experience. You go underground, you blow up, you inflate various enemies and blow them up. Just a fun time there too. Pole position, not great. It's one of those games. It's one of those games that's kind of lost in time because it's just kind of a very basic racing game. I did get number 1 though. I was the number 1 pole position player in the world for about a minute, which was kind of fun. Galaxian is a dumbed down version of Galaga. It was the original version of Galaga. You can only fire 1 bullet on screen. It's a very slow game. There's like no soundtrack at all. The sound effects are a little bit too loud. It's just a very slow game. Not really enjoyable. And the original Pac-Man is fine. It's a fine game. It just doesn't really change as you go through it. Of course, there's only 1 level to play, and just the ghosts get faster and the AI gets a little more competent. So in the end, I think I ended up giving Namco Museum a B tier. And I did not mark each game off individually. I felt like that was maybe a bit cheap, to do for this kind of thing because, it's all the games and then one experience, for me, for that one. So that's why I didn't mark off every single game beaten on that. And then we ended off the year with 1080 Snowboarding, which Callus had played not too long ago, and I was curious. I was like, what is this game? Funny enough, it has better controls than Excitebike 64. It was a little bit more fun. Obviously, I played the game like shit, but we ended up getting through it. We got all the way to the credits. I'm sure once you really get to the nitty gritty and you learn the game, you could have a lot more fun with it. But I did enjoy it enough, so I gave it a B tier as well. There's a bunch of other modes on it, like the trick mode and stuff like that, time trial mode. I just didn't feel like doing any of those things because the controls were already weird enough for the game. But the snowboarding itself felt good. The different levels as you go down the hills were fine. It was just a little bit awkward because sometimes you feel like you would land perfectly, but your character would fall off of their snowboard or something like that. So there was a little bit of weirdness to it, but all in all, it was a fun game. I can't complain. It was a fun game. It worked pretty well. I enjoyed my time with it. What more can you ask for? And those are all the games that we played this past week. Next week, obviously, I'll talk about some more games. But that is that. Let's go ahead and switch over to the final part of the show, which is going to be What's in the News. And for that, we're going to switch over to the main screen so that we can show the news articles on the screen. So, the first news of the day... Oops. First news of the day is that Tango Gameworks is back. They had a bit of a hiatus, obviously, after they were laid off by Microsoft, and then Krafton bought them. And now they've been rebranded as Tango Gameworks Inc. So it's not really a big difference for the names, but in a Twitter post, they said Tango Gameworks Studio has been reborn as Tango Gameworks Inc., proudly joining Krafton Inc. We are excited to continue crafting games that bring joy to players around the world. Thank you for your continued support as we embark on this journey. And obviously they're going to have to change the name because they're not a part of Microsoft anymore. But I think that Krafton buying them is going to be a big dub. They already had plans for Hi-Fi Rush 2, and I'm hoping that they have a better platforming system in Hi-Fi Rush 2 because everything else was really good about the game. The graphic style, the music, etc. was all really good. It's just that platforming really brought it down for me personally. But yeah, I think that they're going to have a nice future ahead of them. We'll see what they start working on first. But as of right now, they're ready to go. Tango Gameworks Inc. ready to go, ready to work on whatever's next for them. All right, Friday the 13th, the game has officially closed down. The servers were set to close down on December 31st at like pretty much the toll of the new year. And a lot of people were, having fun on the game right before the servers shut off. The servers did seem to be around for an extra hour on the day that they were shut off. People were still, partying, I guess, in the servers on January 1st at like 12 a.m. But, yeah, so Friday the 13th, it was revealed that this was going to be shutting down a while ago. I believe back in August it was set to be shut down. And they stopped sales of the game almost right away. And then they eventually shut down the servers here. But this was a bit of a... I mean, the game. I don't remember the game being all too amazing, but it was a game that a lot of people enjoyed. It's one of those 1v4 kind of games where it's an isometric kind of horror game, and one person plays as Jason and hunts down the other people. The thing that really sunk this game was the fact that the original owner of the IP didn't want them using the IP anymore after after its launch in 2017. So essentially, they could not do anything new with the game. They couldn't republish it. They couldn't even run updates for the game because they couldn't work with the IP anymore. So after the contract was up for the IP and the rights, the game had to be shut down, and here we are with the game being officially shut down on New Year's Eve. So it's unfortunate, but at least people got to put in their last little party time into the game for the last few minutes of New Year's. All right, let's look at Nintendo's lineup for 2025. Obviously, Nintendo probably has a lot that they haven't shown off, but there are a couple of games that we do know are coming to the Switch throughout the year. And there is a reason why I'm going to go through this, is because I do have a point to make at the end of it. So we got the Donkey Kong Country Returns coming on the 16th of January. Obviously, I've pre-ordered that. I'm a pretty big Donkey Kong Country fan, Ender Magnolia Bloom in the Mist is coming 22nd of January. I'm not sure exactly what this one is. I think it's like a side-scrolling adventure game. Guilty Gear Strive is getting a Nintendo Switch version on the 23rd of January. It's a fighting game. Pretty good fighting game. Hello Kitty Island Adventure is coming on the 30th of January. And this is like a Hello Kitty version of Animal Crossing. Sid Meier's Civilization 7 is planned to be coming to the Switch on the 6th of February. Civilization has done a pretty good job of porting their games over to the Switch for every iteration. So it's only, of course it's going to come. They announced the Tomb Raider 4, 5, and 6 remaster. That's coming out on Valentine's Day. Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition is coming the 20th of March. Tales of the Shire is coming the 25th of March. Fantasy Life, The Girl Who Steals Time is coming in April. Rune Factory, the next Rune Factory game is coming in spring. Pokemon ZA is coming sometime in 2025. Same thing with Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is coming in 2025. The new Professor Layton game coming in 2025. Capcom Fighting Collection 2 coming in 2025. Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D Remake coming in 2025. So why did I talk about this? It's because we only know the release dates for everything coming from January to February. And we know that Nintendo is going to be revealing the Switch 2 sometime before the end of March. And this just kind of tells you exactly how long we got. The 20th of March is practically the end of March. 25th of March, practically the end of March. Obviously, Tales of the Shire is a third party, so, whatever. But I believe that Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition is going to be the last Nintendo Switch game released by Nintendo. I think that Metroid Prime will have... I believe that it will be exclusive to Switch 2. And so is Pokemon ZA Legends. Just by judging by their release schedule. So I think that it will be sometime in March that they reveal the Switch 2. And I think the Switch 2 is going to come out probably towards the end of the year. And we will see what happens, though. I mean, they could reveal that Metroid Prime and Pokemon ZA are going to be the last hurrah for the Switch, and those are going to come out in time for Christmas, and then next year, 2026, is going to be when the Switch 2 comes out. I doubt it, though. I feel like Nintendo's usually pretty good at being like, here's our console, and the release date is in the same year. They're pretty good at doing that. And the leaks are becoming more and more apparent nowadays, so we'll see exactly what happens. But my new prediction, Switch 2 reveal obviously sometime between now and March. Probably in March. And then the release of the console is going to be towards Christmas time. Probably October, November, I feel like. Launch titles probably going to be Metroid Prime and... Not Metroid Prime, I'm sorry. Metroid Prime Beyond and Pokemon ZA. I feel like those are the two games that are going to be launch titles. We'll see, though. We'll see what happens. But those are just my ideas for now. Alright, SteamWorld Build is getting a physical edition. It's coming on Switch and on PS5. I do plan on picking up the physical edition of this because I was a pretty big fan of SteamWorld Build when it came out last year. Let me just click on the Twitter post here so we can zoom in here. So the game is going to come with, obviously the physical edition is going to come with the pack of cards, which Super Rare is kind of known for at this point. They do like a pack of cards with each game. There's going to be 2,000 PS5 copies and 4,000 Nintendo Switch copies. I am planning on getting the PS5 version of the game just so it can go onto my shelf. I don't really show off my Switch games. I'll probably do that eventually, though. I did get a new shelf for Christmas, so we'll see what happens. I was too sick to build it. My goal was to build it the days after Christmas, and I got sick. And I still am kind of sick, so... But yeah, the physical version, it's going to be available for pre-order on the 9th of January. And it's coming from Super Rare Games, which Super Rare Games is a good distributor for games. They are pretty good. So it's going to be about $40 for each copy. And yeah, sometime in March is when it's going to ship. So not going to be too long. All right, here are your PlayStation Plus Essential games for January 2025, and they are Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe Edition, and Need for Speed Hot Pursuit Remastered. This is a very weird lineup. A very, very weird lineup. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, even though I enjoyed it, a lot of people claim that this is the worst game of the year. Obviously, with Concord being around and other games, I don't think that's true. But this game was reduced to like $10 during the winter sale. So if you haven't got it already, here's a good way to play it for practically for free on the Essential service. Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. This is a remastered version of the Stanley Parable, which is a very good game, obviously. I believe it was nominated for Best Remake or Remaster last year for the Ferret Awards. But yeah, I mean, the Stanley Parable is a good time. It's a bit of a breeze of a playthrough. So that's pretty good. I like the idea. I like that. And then we have Need for Speed Hot Pursuit Remastered, which this is a remaster that didn't sell very well. Hot Pursuit is a good game. I played that back in the day when it originally came out. But, you know, having it be one of the 3 games for PlayStation Plus Essentials, not the best pick. Obviously, it's a remaster. Same thing with Stanley Parable. Like, those are 2 remasters. Probably games that people have already played and or have. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League might be a bit of a last hurrah for it, I guess, because the servers are going to fill up with PlayStation Plus subscribers. But, you know, it's one of those games that's like, you know, I don't know if I would want to play through it again. I played through it on Steam. I had a good enough time with it. But, like, yeah, I'm just not looking forward to playing through the game again. You know, maybe with the new characters out, maybe, but yeah, you know, I mean, I think that these are fine picks, but I don't think it's the best week that PlayStation Plus has ever had, or the month that PlayStation Plus has ever had. You'll be able to start downloading these on Tuesday, January 7th, if you want to check these out. There you go. And finally for today, 6 games are leaving Xbox Game Pass in early January. And they are. Looks like they're all coming out they're all leaving the service on January 15th. We have Common Hood, Escape Academy, Exoprimal, Figment, Journey into the Mind, Insurgency Sandstorm, and Those Who Remain. Out of this list, I think that Exoprimal is the biggest one because that was like a Capcom game. It was the dinosaur fighting game. You used mech suits to fight dinosaurs. That's probably the biggest one. Escape Academy is also pretty big. That's a pretty popular game. And Insurgency Sandstorm, that's like a pretty good first-person shooter. The rest of these I haven't played or I haven't heard of. Common Hood, don't know. Figment is the sequel to Figment. Figment Journey to the Mind is a sequel. Those Who Remain, I'm not sure what Those Who Remain is. And the screenshots don't really tell me much either. No. But those are all these games will be leaving January 15th if you want to check them out before they're gone. All right, let's go ahead and move on to Guess That Song, which I need to, of course, switch over to this screen so you can't see what the song is. All right, so if you know what the name of the song is and the game that it came from, let me know in the comments below or on the Discord in the Ferret64 section. If you comment down below on YouTube, I'll give you a heart and a congratulations. If you're over on the Discord, I will give you a super reaction and you'll get the admiration of your peers. Let's listen to today's song right now. All right, if you know the name of the song and the game that came from, let me know in the comments below or on the Discord. All right, folks, thank you so much to everyone who came by the stream today. Really do appreciate that. I know we're ending a little bit early, but my voice is not feeling it right now. This is the longest I've talked for. Yeah, I hope you all have a good rest of your day. Thank you to everyone once again for participating in both the nominations and the voting for the Ferret Awards. The more the merrier, I always say. And even though this year we didn't have the most people voting, it was a very good year for the Ferret Awards, nevertheless. Also, thank you to everyone who presented for the awards as well. It does help me a lot. It makes me have to do a little bit less work. But I do thank you everyone who presented for the Ferret Awards. Once again, if you want to join the Ferret Awards next year, it happens at the end of December, and the show is always the first week of January. So if you want to mark your calendar for, hey, I need to remember to nominate games, make sure you do that because I could always use more nominations. And obviously there's going to be games that are missing from the nomination sheet because, it's just not nominated, or maybe it's something I didn't think about it when I was filling in the blanks. So no matter what, you could always use more nominations and also more votes. As you saw, one vote can make the difference. One vote can really make the difference there. So there you go. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for listening and are watching. If you're here for the stream, I appreciate that as well. I am Yemmy the Ferret, and I am out of here. Have a good rest of your day. Go Browns. See you later.
Bye, bitch!